Well, thank you very much. I thank you for this opportunity to share with you some thoughts about the Republic of Korea and to say that unification is the inexorable and inevitable goal of the peninsula. I say inevitable to emphasize that unification is not an issue as to whether it will occur, but when and under what circumstances. A country involuntarily severed by World War II agreement among the victorious Allied powers still remains a country involuntarily severed. The passing of time does not make the artificial division of the Korean Peninsula any more natural or acceptable. The word unification, according to the English dictionary, says it is the process of being united or made into a whole. Reunification means back to the original state, place, or condition from a prior severance. The Korean Ministry of Unification, not reunification, recognizes this distinction. Unification means an ongoing process involving all the people of the Korean Peninsula, implying the people of Korea have never been separated in spirit, though in body, and the process of unification is connecting the body with the spirit. The goal of unification is simple: to recognize that which already exists and to work towards the process of the completion of Korea's national identity. And that's why unification is inevitable. The spirit is crying for its body, and the body is crying for its spirit. But unfortunately, many surveys, especially among the young, demonstrate lack of interest in unification. And that's why it's important to educate not only the people of the Republic of Korea on the inevitability of unification, but the world as a whole. When inevitability is assumed, the focus shifts, not from if, but when and how. You're not truly free if your brother is living in slavery. You're not truly satisfied if your brother is hungry. You're not fulfilled if your brother's life is counted as insignificant. Your body can never rest if it's separated from its spirit. Yet time in Korea, unfortunately, is working against unification. Time serves as another method to keep the body from full unity with the spirit. And that's why it's important to do what you're doing here today. South Koreans in the entire world and the North Koreans must be reminded of the need for unification in Korea. And the United States has a great interest in unification of the peninsula, witnessed by the blood of nearly 37,000 American soldiers, heroes, shed on such remote and obscure places as the Chosin Reservoir, Incheon, the Pusan Perimeter, Pork Chop Hill, Old Baldy, and Heartbreak Ridge. President Moon's national vision of the people, a Republic of Korea of justice, is based on reconciliation and cooperation, and amongst its steps has realizing the new economic map initiative and economic unification of the Korean spirit and spreading consensus in the peninsula as to the importance and inevitability of unification. Believing unification is inevitable makes the how a lot easier and does not place the emphasis on speculation of its occurrence, but in the manner of implementing it. Freedom of disappearance and the abuse of human rights will foster when we see unification. Mitigation of work shortages, so South Korea no longer has to import workers from Southeast Asia. Huge gains in the mining sector, as North Korea has valuable minerals, including the rare earth minerals used in the highest of technologies. And the United Korea, with a newly expanded domestic market and an increase in tourism. The DMZ would be gone, trade would get easier, a unified Korea could emerge as a consuming industrial powerhouse. This will not be easy. It will be very difficult. But let me ask you a question. When have the South Koreans ever backed away from a challenge? Did they back away from refusing to surrender their identity during the Japanese occupation? Did they back away from the invasion of the North fighting nearly to the end until the Americans and others came? Did they back away from the outlandish dream of becoming a world power and leader in manufacturing when they had few minerals and little history of manufacturing? Did they back away from the ambitious statement that South Korea could build ships when Chung Jung-yoon, with no shipbuilding experience, no shipyard, no money, convinced investors to order a ship from him? And when asked if Koreans had experience building ships, he reminded the investors that Admiral Yi Sun-shin built a turtle ship, the world's first ironclad ship, and sank the Japanese fleet just a few years earlier in 1597. Did the South Koreans really think that their Did the South Koreans really think that their war-ravaged country, in rubbles at the end of the Korean conflict, with a handful of PhDs, 8, a per capita income lower than those of Haiti, Ethiopia, Yemen, and North Korea itself, could become a world leader, especially in light of statements such as penned by John Caldwell, who in 1955 described Korea as, quote, a land of misery and chaos and a land unable to help itself because it has no voice in any major decisions affecting its future, end of quote. How did Korean students in a little over 5 decades rank number 1 in math among the most industrialized countries? How did Korea become one of the largest exporters of machine tools in the world? How did Korea become a world leader in manufacturing of semiconductors? How did Korea become one of the largest shipbuilders? How did Korea capture a significant portion of America's domestic auto market? How did Korea become the world's 12th largest economy? It's because Koreans have always met their vision, no matter how hard the task. And there are all kinds of theories and proposals to unification, but perhaps the real solution, the real vision, has yet to be discovered. In 1987, the Estonians started singing their national anthem at an annual music festival, leading to the August 23, 1989 miracle of 700,000 Estonians, 1/4 of the population, joining 500,000 Latvians and 1 million Lithuanians, all joining hands and singing their way to freedom from Soviet control. Singing their way to freedom. And the same year, hundreds of thousands of Czechoslovakians stood in Wenceslas Square. I was there a couple of years ago. And they did this. They shook their keys as a symbol that these keys unlocked the door of freedom. And the Soviets backed down, and they elected not a military leader or a politician who emerged as the leader of a free Czechoslovakian, but a poet in the Velvet Revolution. And Koreans saw in the candlelight revolution of 1 million or more South Koreans in the square with the babies in the carriages holding up candles, saying we want to bring an end to the present regime and bring about honesty again in government. And Korea's documents witnessed the inevitable and inexorable unification. The March 1st, 1989 Declaration of Independence was signed by 33 national representatives, all of whom were leaders from various religious faiths. Some important assertions occur in that declaration. Quote, we hereby declare Korea as an independent state and its people as free. If we are to wash off yesterday's rancor, if we are to shed today's agony, if we are to abolish tomorrow's menace, if we are to eagerly broaden our shrunken national conscience and state pride, if we are to achieve natural development of individual character, and if we are to keep our poor children from inheriting anguish and shame, if we are to bestow everlasting blessing on our descendants, then our first duty is to secure the independence of our nation. Korean independence will be a step toward the stability of East Asia, as well as a part of world peace and human happiness. A new spring has come, the declaration goes on, hastening the rebirth of every living thing. While we held our breath in the ice and snow, our pulse now stirs in the warm breeze and sunshine. The fortunes of heaven and earth have returned to us, and we ride the changing tides of the world. We hereby rise up. To begin is to be successful. We only need to march in the light. And that declaration is assumed in the rugged independence and unity of the peninsula, carried on in the Constitution of the Republic of Korea. Quote, having assumed the mission of democratic reform and peaceful unification of our homeland, and having determined to consolidate national unity with justice, humanitarianism, and brotherly love, the territory of the Republic of Korea shall consist of the Korean Peninsula and its adjacent islands. The Republic of Korea shall seek unification and shall formulate and carry out a policy of peaceful unification based on the principles of freedom and democracy. Children sing their national anthem frequently, stating the hope of unification. The third verse reads as follows. Autumn sky is void and vast, high and cloudless. The bright moon is our heart, undivided and true. The refrain expresses how it will be done. 3,000 we of splendid rivers and mountains, filled with roses of Sharon, great Korean people, stay true to the great Korean way. The great Korean way is that Koreans don't know the meaning of the word no. It is not in their vocabulary. Former Ambassador An tells the story of talking to 3 students, and he asked this question: how is it that Korean students excel in academics? And one student said, perhaps it's because we were taught by our parents. The second student said, well, perhaps we have learned that the road to success depends on our excellence in studies. And the third Korean child said, Mr. Ambassador, perhaps it's simply because we are Koreans. Korea, one peninsula, one people, one country, and one destiny.